So his Creole can be a little rusty, but we'll figure it out. Hi, Ray.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I am good, and you? Good to see your beautiful
Thank you.
face.
Thank you just for you. So, I was telling them that this is special for me because I'm never here on evenings. I'm a morning girl. I'm a morning person. So today is super special. I've never officially collaborated with anyone on No Filter yet from the No Filter family. I usually handle the lives by myself.
Ah,
So I'm super excited to be doing that with you. So Ray, before we start, since you're new to the family, can you tell everyone who you are?
who I am? I'm Ray Hippolyte, and from Haiti. Been living in the States for more than oh 40, 35 years, 36 years, I would say.
Okay.
And I'm a father of a beautiful little girl called Victoria. That's
Mhm.
my first job. And my second job is a transformational coach who really help people transform their lives from within, from the inside out.
All right.
And that's my passion. And I'm happy to be here to play in this sandbox with you.
Me too, me too. I know that we kind of discussed what we would talk about, but I feel like I'm always interested to know why people become a coach. Like I have my own story. So they probably heard it a million times because I've been on No Filter for a while, but could you share with us why? Why did you decide to become a transformational coach?
My my journey began when I was gay. I found out I was gay and I wanted to accept myself for who I am before coming out to my parents, which was in itself troublesome. Parents from Haiti. And from that, contracting HIV, which really destroyed me psychologically, where I even wanted to commit suicide, and rising from the depth of despair to accepting myself, then overcoming that by expanding actually made me realize the importance of self-worth, self-development, and so forth. Then losing my sister who was assassinated in Haiti again caused further expansion, painful relationships cause further expansion. And the more I expand, the more I want people to expand because that's all there is. And that's what the world needs the most right now, for people to come in vibrational alignment with who they truly are so they can become the best for the world instead of focusing on being the best in the world,
I
because
love
becoming the best in the world got us in all of this mess that we are living right now internationally. In Haiti, I saw the people that are focused on being the best in the world by being power hungry that put us in that mess.
hmm
Um, and now we should move to the heart chakra, where how are you feeling? The better
Me?
you feel, the
Yes.
better you can be for
For
the world.
yes,
And that's
yes.
all in alignment with your expansion.
Exactly. I'm happy to, I love being in community with other coaches because I realize that before anything, it is definitely a passion. It is definitely a vocation. Um, my own, my own story got me to become a coach too. And one thing that I love is that you said that you realized that it was possible for you to expand despite all the struggle. And I think
Yeah.
for me coming out of depression, severe depression 10 years ago, it was the same thing. Coming out of it made me realize, oh my God, we are such powerful being. If only we knew how to use that power, from within to actually expand and become the best for the world. So I love this. So today we're going to talk about expansion. Um, Glenn, the team and I, we were there. We were discussing what does this word mean. It could mean so much, depending on
Yes.
where you are in life, depending on your line of work, depending on how you view life. So I want to know for you, what is expansion? When you think about the word expansion, what other words come to mind, and what does it mean to self-expand?
What does it mean? Actually, that's what we are. We are here to expand. Everything that you're experiencing right now, all of the contrast that you're living to the difficult times, the difficult relationships, the difficult circumstances and event is in service of your expansion. So
Do
it's in
you know
service of
that?
your becoming.
Do you know that we hear that a lot, but it's easier said than done. It's easier to say it, but to believe it. So I'm
Yes.
gonna need a little help because this year has been particularly hard for me. And sometimes I wonder, although I know I've been in that space before and I was able to overcome it, but how do you believe that all these troubles and all these struggles are actually there for you to expand?
So look. For example, look at your. You said you went to deep. You had a depressive stage in your life.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come out of it?
But how many times? That's the thing.
So did
How
you
many
really learn
times?
from the experience? Did you
Of
surrender to
course.
the experience, knowing that it's a gift and an opportunity for you to grow and evolve? You know, look at right now. Look at right now. Why do you think that we're speaking to this iPhone or this technology called the smartphone? Because
Mm-hmm.
somebody expanded. Somebody at one point, they could not communicate virtually and they couldn't see, I don't know, let's make up a story. They couldn't see their loved ones physically, and they had a thought was born because the lack, when you know what you don't want, you know exactly what you do want. It's in direct opposite of what you do want. Such a beautiful thing about not knowing what you don't want. Because when you know what you don't want, you know exactly what you do want. That's where the contrast comes from. And into the knowing what you don't want, you start aligning yourself with what you don't want vibrationally, because we're all vibrational beings. We all are energy. And the more you focus yourself on the pursuit of acquiring what you do want, by knowing that the better you feel, the better you're going to be able to have the clarity of thought, to be able to tap into infinite intelligence to create the impossible. And that's how that person that did not have a phone now launched that whole idea of talking virtually. Just think about it. How can you possibly think that this phone right now could be possible if you were living in even in our lifetime? Even in
Yeah,
our
I agree.
lifetime.
Definitely.
What is
Definitely.
it?
You're right.
Expansion.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right. So, one thing that I'm sure from experience as a coach, I think one thing that is common to most of my clients is fear. I feel like fear is this poison in our lives that is
Yes.
stopping us. I used to live in constant fear. And it wouldn't be, weirdly enough, I had to work with my therapist to understand because it was never fear of failure. Sometimes it's fear of wanting too much. Sometimes it's fear of asking or hoping for too much or being too much. And I don't know exactly, I mean, I know personally, but I feel like this is something that could serve many of us under their lives is how do you deal with fear? How do you take fear out of the equation so that you can actually expand?
Good. So let's first understand what fear is. Fear is an energy field that lives in a level of consciousness. And we tend to think that it's the external world that is causing us to be fearful, but no, it's actually us being in a fearful state that is making us experiencing the world as a fearful place to be, the fearful place to expand, the fearful place to what is the unknown. That's what fear is. So once you start addressing fear internally, then your thoughts start shifting and you reach a higher level of vibration, a higher level of consciousness in order to experience life differently. Why we don't experience the world as it is, we experience the world as we experience it. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we experience it.
True.
Because right now, everyone here would have a very different way of experiencing or telling you what they're experiencing it right now. So what does that mean? Is it the actual event that is causing fear? It's how you're experiencing it. So it comes from within.
So at
The
the end of
actual
the day,
cause of
everything comes from
fear
within.
comes from within.
So the real work has to be within, has to be
The
done
real work
within.
has to be within. When you think about it, 80 to 90% of your success comes from your inner game.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
everything comes from your inner game. What is your inner game? Your inner game is your vibrational frequencies, your ability to think clearly, feel positively, and act accordingly to how you feel and think.
We have a comment, a very interesting comment from Fabiola. Hi, Fabi. She says that sometimes fear can actually be a fuel to go beyond yourself. She said, for instance, if a lion is after you, you can either freeze or climb a tree all the way to the top. So it really depends on how you use fear in your life. What do you think about that, Ray?
Exactly. And by the way, all emotions are good. All
Mm-hmm.
emotions are not bad. All emotions serve a purpose. Every person have a virtue. For example, if you stay in fear, there are fears, for example, irrational fears, where you have fear of public speaking that immobilizes you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't go beyond. So you have to learn how to face that fear. And to Fabiola's point, fear is the only emotion that lives in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when, let's say right now, you fear heights, the second that you get to the edge of that cliff, you're no longer going to fear heights. You're going to fear falling down. Once you fall down, you're going to fear, how are you going to stand up? Am I going to have a broken bone? So fear is the only emotion that is in the future. So to her point, if you use fear from a place of virtue, you overcome it, you let it use as a fuel for you to reach a higher vibrational state, right? Because fear doesn't feel good. Fear creates
Mm-mm.
stress. Fear
Yeah.
creates anxiety.
Anxiety. Yes.
Yes, and it's the most contagious emotion there is.
Yeah.
When you look at how the world is run by fear. That's why there's so many wars. That's why there's so many gap um, in life in terms of how people live economically. That's why people are robotic. You know, I call that cultural hypnosis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and when we buy into it and we are constantly driven by it, thinking that everything that is the source of our happiness is outside of us. But meanwhile, that's not true.
You're right. You're right.
Everything
But
that you want is from within.
I agree with you, obviously, but again, sometimes when you talk, or even when I talk, or any other person who has experienced everything that you're saying, a lot of people are like, we get what you're saying, but how do we actually apply it to our life? How do I remember one thing, I worked with a coach about money. I used
Mm-hmm.
to have a very controversial relationship with money. And even as a business person, I've been working for myself for quite a while. I I still had a horrible relationship with money. Not only in the way of spending and managing money, but also in the way that I saw I imagine or envision my access to money, to the amount of money that I could access, to the amount of money that I could make. And doing the work, I realized that the less fear I had, the more money I was attracting. The
Yeah.
more relaxed I am, the more, you know, sometimes I don't post about anything and then I get a discovery call. Somebody wants to know about my services, you know, but
Yeah.
obviously it is very hard to keep it like that because life, you know, is hard. But I do agree with you. But if you could maybe give us just one tip, one
Money is
practical.
energy. To think about it, money is energy. So if you think that you're worthy of it, you're going to attract it. If you're not attached to it and you think that you're worthy of it, you're going to attract it. Just yesterday, I was in a call with other coaches, who's a money coach,
Mhm,
and what she did, she had $3,000
mhm.
in her hand, always living, always at eyesight, and she's counting it. And she said she used to count those $3,000 every single day to get into the vibration of money.
Wow.
And that's how money started coming her way. Of course, those bills were fake, but the actual act of feeling the sensation of having it and pretending that you're spending it, because the more you pretend that you're doing something and you get in alignment with the action of it, you become the frequency of it and you start attracting it.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think definitely for money, I hope everybody takes that practical exercise. Maybe,
If
you
you don't
know,
have the $3,000, go get some fake dollars.
exactly. It's still
And start
vibration is
counting it.
vibration. You know, we have
Leave
this.
$100 bill in in your wallet. And when you see, think, how would I be spending that money today? Know that you're worthy of it. It's all energy. People have such a bad relationship with money.
We do, but let's leave the money. Maybe we should talk about money soon. Because it's such, I think one of the big fears that we all have is financial. We all, you know, want to be financially stable, and it's probably one of the biggest causes of stress and anxiety. So we'll definitely talk about it on another live. But just out of curiosity, why do you think this emotion is so present in our life? Fear. Fear to expand, fear to believe that we deserve beautiful things, fear to say I believe in love although I had 25 breakups and 25 heartbreaks, fear to say I deserve happiness when we are in a situation where we don't know, we don't see the light. Like, why is it so present in our lives?
Because we don't think that we're worthy of it. Because we don't believe that we can have it. We focus on the past experiences that have led to disappointments instead of focusing on what we want. You had a bad lover, and instead of let's say you had a lover that did not that cheated on you. Now you want a lover that does not cheat on you. You had a lover that did that used to beat you. Now you want a lover that caresses you. So what people do, they constantly focus on the things that cause them pain, on the contract that cause them pain, instead of focusing on the desire that was launched. And we live in an attraction-based universe, which is very inclusive. So your vibrational frequency is exactly you're gonna be getting, a vibrational match to that frequency. You know, so instead of trying to get rid of these people or fearing getting hurt, why don't you get rid of the frequency in you that caused you in the first place to attract that person that was causing you pain?
I totally agree. You know something? I mean, I've had many failed relationships and coming out of a breakup, yeah, paronta. But I've been in a space where I've been taking care of myself, but in a romantic way. Like I
Beautiful.
would shower and like act as if I was going to go to bed with a lover or somebody was going to come see me. So I would
Yeah.
bathe and oil myself and wear perfume and wear the most beautiful nightgown. And I've been feeling better. The person is not there. There's no one, but it's just the feeling of doing it as if, and I always say that if there's one thing, I will never give up on love. So in my mind, it is clear that this person is there, that there is
It's
someone.
in your vibrational reality.
Exactly, exactly.
And you're
Right?
feeling it, and you're detached from the outcome. You're putting yourself at the frequency of the things that you want, living it vibrationally.
It definitely makes a difference because it took a long time for me to get there. And sometimes we forget and we go back to the frequency that is so focused in the past and the hurt. But there's something that
Yes.
I was talking to I was watching something, or maybe it was a client, I don't remember, but we were having a conversation and the person said, I'm not going to reduce my life to this experience, to this particular experience, to this pain. There's so much more to life. There's so much more to me. I am so much more than this experience that I am
Yeah.
going to expand. So I'm definitely I'm happy to talk to you because it's kind of like a reminder to what I already believe and what I think a lot of us believe but forget all the time is
Yeah.
to believe that we're worthy, believe that we deserve all the things that we want.
And you
Um,
just said it. Believe that you're worthy, and knowing and take accountability for the fact that you were in a place where you were not feeling worthy of true love, and that's why you attracted that. The second that you go say, who have I been in order for me to attract that, then you stop blaming others, and then you start putting the focus on you. And
mhm,
the best way to do it is not by judging yourself, it's by putting yourself in the observer's seat.
mhm.
Who was I being for me to attract that?
I love this. I love,
Who
love.
was I being? What can I do differently moving forward so I can attract something differently?
Yeah, I agree, and I love that you said, because as coaches we also always start by inviting people to take the observer seat, and a lot of times we
Hi,
do it the wrong
Suzanne.
we do it the wrong way. We do it by judging ourselves, by blaming ourselves, and that's how we don't forgive ourselves and we can't move on and we can't expand. So I love that you said it's not about judging. It's not about practicing negative self-talk. No, it's really about just sitting with yourself and realizing what was your frequency at that time.
Yeah. And Emmy, everybody is doing the best that they can. If they knew differently, they would do differently. We all have the same universal yearnings to be seen, to matter, to be loved, to love, to connect, and to reach our highest potential. And
Yeah,
when we cannot fulfill those yearnings, it's because we don't know any better.
I agree. I agree. And
Everybody that is cruel right now is a form of creating attention. The narcissist gets fed by
by
you
attention.
being you worshiping them or you hating them. They get fed by those two emotions because you're giving them attention. It's an addiction.
Yeah, yeah. But narcissism is a big, big, big deal. I'm taking notes. So we're going to talk about money, Ray. We're going to talk
Okay.
about how to deal with a narcissist and how to know if you are a narcissist. Because I think a lot of times on
We
these
all
lives,
have a narcissist. We all have narcissistic behaviors, by the way.
of
We
course.
all
But
what is depression? Depression is the ultimate form of narcissism because you're speaking from a place of I am. Why me? Why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling this way? And the second that you start putting the energy outward, then you start focusing on different things by giving, by being kind to others.
yeah,
Automatically, you start raising your frequency.
yeah. I think from everything we said, we definitely mentioned the law of attraction, which is something that a lot of people talk about. And I have a friend the other day talking about love, you know, who doesn't want love? So we were talking about love and having a partner. And I was like, act if as if that person is out there, exist already. And you know,
Yes.
she's a little, you know, she hoarders a little bit. She has a lot of stuff in the house, and I'm always teasing her. I'm like, you don't have space to receive someone, you know. And I'm like, this you have to sleep on the bed as if there's space for this person. And she's like, how do you actually do that? I'm like, it actually works, you know, it does. Sometimes I act as if I'm gonna have contracts. Like I wake up and I'm on my A game and I dress up and I put my makeup on. I'm just, I know this day that something's gonna happen. But it's really hard to explain because so many people are talking about it.
Here's a
And
problem with the law of attraction.
mhm,
The, in a few words, law of attraction is becoming what you want to attract. What do I mean by that? Getting into the vibrational frequency from a thought perspective and emotional perspective to the thing that you want to have. But what
mhm,
happens is that people are saying, I want the lover, I want more money, I want this, I want that. But their subconscious mind, which is on autopilot, is telling them a different story. It's like imagine right now you have a tape recorder and then
mhm.
you put a tape in it and it's saying, I'm not gonna get that lover, 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 I'm not gonna get that lover. And then you're like, stop it! You're gonna get the lover, you're gonna get the lover, stop it! And then you start getting mad at yourself. What do? The tape is the software of the computer, it's the software of the mind, right? It's a programming. So what you need to do, you need to be able to reprogram, to take up that software and put another tape, right? And how do you do that is by reprogramming the subconscious mind. And to
Okay.
reprogram the subconscious mind, you can do this in many ways. Through the practice of surrender, so you can reach a higher state of emotion. You can do this through breath work by find by manipulating energy from within to reach a higher state where you're tapping in to the gamma wave that have access to infinite intelligence that will program your thoughts and processes, because the more you can reach a higher state of energy, of emotion, it creates room to let go of all of the negative programs and negative emotions that are preventing you from getting that lover.
I love it. I love it. So it's all about reprogramming the mind. You know what I used to tell people, especially in Haiti, when I was talking about what I did as a coach, I used to tell them, what does a coach, like a when you go to the gym, the coach helps you transform your body, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The mind is coachable. The mind is all about the way that it's programmed. And we have that power to flip the switch. We have that power to reprogram. So that is where we should really focus is
Yes.
how do I
And I
reprogram?
would even extend mind, body are one. Mind, body are one. This is the computer.
Mm-hmm,
And how you're programming it, knowing that it's linked to every sensory of your body. Imagine when you were a kid, you could not even speak.
mm-hmm.
How are you learning and getting all sorts of information? You are getting all sorts of information at you vibrationally to sensories. So your mind was not even fully developed. So the mind in itself is memory, and everything is stored in emotions. Where do emotions live? Inside your body,
Yes.
right? So you're not attracting this, let's say right now, that fear of public speaking. Where does it come from? From the lizard brain, where at one point your ancestors had a fear of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paralyzed. So what happens, instead of resisting that fear, why don't you face it with love? And when you face it with love, you go right inside to the practice of surrender. It
Mm-hmm.
starts melting away.
Yes. Ooh. I love your smile, Ray. I mean, I think a couple of people said that they love
I
your
love yours
smile.
too.
Thank you.
You're
Your smile is so.
gorgeous.
Thank you, my love. Well, you know what? I believe that this live happened at the right time, because if we had met a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't be able to do it because I wasn't in that vibrational state. I was in. I was angry. I wasn't surrendering. And I realized that, and I know it, Ray. It's just that, and like I said, many of us know it. It's just that we forget, because every time I surrender, then I feel I start feeling lighter, and things start.
So what made you said you forgot? You forgot, right? So what enabled you to raise your frequency? What enabled you to reach your higher vibrational state? What enabled you to do so?
Being the observer.
Being the observer. And that's
Yes,
what self-awareness is, right?
yes, yes.
Self-awareness is, what am I thinking? Is it consistent with reality, with the truth? What am I feeling? Because feelings are always right, by the way.
Always.
Because feeling is memory, emotions is
Hmm.
memory. So are the thoughts that trigger those emotions consistent with the truth?
Yeah, I
Are
think
my action consistent with what I want to attract?
yep.
And being in that observer seat, the first thing that you have to do is to get yourself with a heart at peace, where you're not judging.
Yeah, I was gonna say that first of all, it was being at the observer on the observer seat, but also practicing self-compassion.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's kind of like I'm this happened because I was in that state. Now, if I don't want it to happen again, I need to expand. I need to
Yeah.
expand so that I can be in that new space, so I could do things differently and attract different things.
Yeah.
But again, you said, why did I forget? I think we forget because of this habit to always focus on the past, but also wanting to understand, wanting to have clear, specific answers to why am I going through this right now? Why did this happen? And at some point, we have to let go of that because it happened. There's no way to go back there.
And there's a
There's no.
resistance right there. There's a
Mm-hmm,
resistance to
mm-hmm.
the thing that is happening. And that what is that resistance is doing? What
Yeah.
is it doing?
Let me show you. I don't know if you can read. Well, no, you won't be able to read. Hold on. Let me show you something. Hold on. Can you see what my tattoo said?
Let it be. Let it be. That's
Yes.
all about surrendering.
Yes. And I think that is the thing that I had to learn to heal every time, because I realized that anytime I'm resisting, I'm stuck. The minute I
Yeah.
surrender, the minute I surrender and accept, then things start, you know.
Things start opening up. It
Yeah.
creates a sense of freedom, and you reach a better state of being, right?
Yes, yes.
Because what you
So,
resist persists, what you fight against gets bigger, and what you surrender to disappears.
ooh, can you repeat that?
What you resist persists, what you
Mhm.
fight against gets bigger, and what you surrender to disappears.
Oh wow. Can somebody write that on the chat, on the comments? I really, really love this. And um I know I was going through your page and you talked about how the relationship with our ego. And I think that a lot of times our relationship with our ego, or the way we treat our ego, m- stops us from surrendering, because the ego wants to understand.
Yes. The
The
ego is
ego.
formed. The ego is off. The ego is focus. The ego is focus. So based on your level of consciousness, your focus is going to be very different. And the lower your level of consciousness, the more you're going to focus on context and not able to put things in context. So knowing that the ego comes from the reptilian brain, which is all memory from the past, right? Where animal beings.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So the second that you can contextualize the ego as such, and you befriend it, then at that moment you're able you're able to transcend it. Because the more you make the ego the enemy, the ego is here to teach you. The ego is here for you to help you expand. The ego is here to teach you how to survive. And
Yes.
most people, they are on surviving mode
Mode.
instead of thriving mode,
Mode. Yeah.
right? The
And
fight or flight
to
response.
expand and to be able to expand, we need to work to be in thriving mode. Because
Yes.
if you're constantly resisting, there's no way to thrive, there's no way to expand. So we did cover, I love that the conversation is flowing, because we did talk about, talking a little bit about
Yes. What is the first
self-awareness.
step to growth? The first step to growth, like I will never accept a client if the client is not in that is not in that frequency of courage. Courage is the ability to be vulnerable, the ability to take full accountability for your state of being without pointing the finger outside.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And to be able to do so, you have to be able to look at the ego from a very objective way.
Yeah.
It just is. It just is.
I always tell people, I mean, as coaches, we are here to help, to accompany you, but you're going to do the work. If you're not in a space where you are going to be accountable, where you're open to change, where you're open to seeing things
Yes.
differently, to
And openness
accept.
comes from courage. You need to have the courage to expand. When you're
Yeah.
prideful, you're in denial. That's the weakness of pride. You're always in denial. But once you have courage, oh my God, that's when life force energy starts flowing through you. And then you combine that with willingness, which is the spiritual energy. Willingness, it gives you the motivation to focus on the pursuit. That's what a life well lived is. When you start focusing on the pursuit versus the reward, that's when you start releasing dopamine, because dopamine is your biological frequency.
Yes. I always tell,
Yes.
would you
Currency, your
say
biological currency.
would you say it's the same thing when I tell people we're so focused when we want things, we're so focused on the result. Why don't we focus on the process? Why don't we dive completely in the process of becoming? And I think that's one thing that I had, again, I always tell people I'm a coach because I love doing the work myself. I get so much from doing the work. When I focus on becoming, it doesn't happen. When I focus on being, that's when it happens.
Which
When
is
I
always becoming, by the way, your being is always becoming. Your being is constantly becoming, because your being is constantly expanding. What is negative emotion? You not keeping up with your expansion of what you have become. Because out of the contrast, you have new wantings. You have new wantings, which is
Yes,
focusing on your becoming. There's nothing wrong with pleasure. There's nothing wrong with pleasure. But how to experience pleasure is by knowing that you have to focus your motivation on the pursuit in order for you to experience the pleasure.
thank you, Ray.
Because you need to have enough dopamine currency biologically from the pursuit perspective in order for you to enjoy the rewards. That's why you see so many rich kids right now that have everything that they want and they are depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Because there no dopamine is being released.
no dopamine, they're dopamine deficient, and that's a big problem right now of people that are using their iPhone, their social media. There's a constant, they don't, they are depressed, but there's a constant release of dopamine from being able to scroll to TikTok or whatever it is, Instagram. So the key is to be able to disconnect from that, right? And focus on expansion. Expansion is infinite. It's we're using the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
It's infinite and it's enjoyable. I love when I get a new client, and the first thing I do, I I stay with them for a few hours in the beginning to get them to that place so they can start expanding right away, and then they get a taste of it. They're like, that's yummy. I want more.
I mean, and that's the beauty of coaching and setting goals, and because the more you're in the process, the more you're doing it, the more you're like, oh my God, this feels good. I want to continue doing
Yes.
it, and yeah. So, but like I said, we know all of that. We talk about it. So I'm just hoping that like you said, you wanted to share that with the world. That's why you became a coach. Is I wish everybody could understand and believe, not only understand, but believe that expansion is their birthright. That expansion is their reality. Expansion is
You are born to
to
expand.
expand. Yeah.
The universe puts everything in front of you in service of your expansion.
I think Fabiola said something, but I want you to definitely, because I don't agree with you, Fabi. It depends on what kind of expansion we're talking about.
What did she say?
She said, be
I
careful
have
with.
not been reading the comments.
She said, but be careful with expansion because excess can be fatal. I don't think there's excess when it comes to your potential and
No,
what you're
expansion
meant.
is infinite when it comes from within.
It's not. It's
Expansion
not
is infinite.
expansion. It's not expansion like Ray said. For like it's expansion for the world. It's expansion to be the best that you can be, to have the best experience that you came here to have.
Yes.
So I don't think it can be, there's no excess to that.
There's no excess. There's excess what is an uphill struggle when you live in the flawed promise that is by the having of things that you're expending.
Exactly. And expending is
That's
not
when
by the
excess
having.
begins.
Yeah.
That's when you have a relationship with power that becomes life destructive.
Yeah.
You
So we
never
gotta
have
be.
enough. If you're codependent on everything that is external as your source of fulfillment and joy, you're becoming addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
People are not addicted to money, they're addicted to control. They're addicted to the power that comes with it. Because there's so many studies that shows you can make $100,000 and you're making $200,000, your level of happiness is not going to change.
Mm-mm. I agree. I
You
agree.
know,
But your level of power will.
your level of power
And
will.
that's what
And
a lot of us
if
are
you think
addicted to.
power is what defines you, if you're basing power as your self-worth, then then that's why we're in that mess. Look at the mess that Haiti is in right now. How can you explain people that are starving in the streets and people that are making billions, millions of dollars? How can you explain that? It's an addiction to power.
It is.
It's an addiction to control. It's all force, but it's not true power because true power is still.
Yes.
Power is still. Power doesn't need to prove anything.
Power doesn't need to be loud.
Power is your being. Power is you being in vibrational alignment with your expansion, which lives in an emotional state. There's no amount of feeling good that is going to make you bad for the world. The more joy you have, the more you want to share it. The more you become intradependent so you can give it freely.
Ooh.
That's when you become the best for the world.
Yes. True. So Fabi, I hope we made it clear a little bit, because definitely when we talk about expansion, it's not that kind of expansion. And that's
Yeah.
exactly Michelle. She said la force est calme. Yes, power is
Yes.
still. Power is still. Power doesn't need to be loud. Power doesn't need
Power
to
doesn't
be
need to prove anything. What
exactly.
comes at you is still.
Yes. Um, I would say before we end our talk, if you could give us 3 tips, practical, Just like when you ask me, what did you do to raise your vibrational state? What are three things that we can do to start, especially for people who never even thought about this thing of expansion, people who don't even know anything about what we're talking about? What are three things that someone can do to start expanding? Hold on, Ray. Before we continue, I think Fabiola had asked a question. I want to finish with my question. So
Okay.
let me see. I think she had asked something about money, a trauma with money. What year is that? No, that's not what it is. Fabiola, can you just ask the question again? And the thing is, on the live, sometimes the questions are so specific that it's hard for us to answer on the live, you know. But let's see what it is, because sometimes it's so specific, especially when we talk about trauma. It's specific. We would, for me and Ray, or for Ray to go into details, we don't know if we'll be able to answer. But Fabi, ask it anyway.